Welcome to White Regis TV film review and preview. I'm Andrew Wright. Releasing in cinemas this weekend is The Smashing Machine, a sports biopic directed by Benny Safdie, one half of the Safdie brothers, who made the Adam Sandler Netflix film Uncut Gem. But I digress. So The Smashing Machine stars a frankly unrecognisable Dwayne Johnson as Mark Kerr, a former amateur wrestler and MMA fighter. And if you've seen what Dwayne Johnson, like pictures of Dwayne Johnson from the movie, you know he's got hair like a wig, and he's usually very muscular, like sort of six pack and everything, but he doesn't have that. And this film and his his signature Samoan heritage tattoo has been covered. So yeah, he's definitely very unrecognisable. The film also stars Emily Blunt as his then wife. I don't know how that unfolds. I don't know particularly I don't know the particulars. The film is based on a 2002 documentary about Kerr, and this biopic's story revolves around Kerr's life. So it is a lot about, MMA fighting and like his approach to it. So the film has received about 76% positive reviews from critics. I'm not sure if that number's changed. But they praised Dwayne Johnson's performance, as well as the fact that it avoids biopic cliches, even if it costs some narrative satisfaction. The film had its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival, where it won the Silver Lion, the highest Venice Film Festival's highest award for directing. So it could potentially be an awards contender in next year's Oscars. With Dwayne, I think from what I'm hearing, Dwayne Johnson is definitely getting looked at for an awards push. The Smashing Machine is in cinemas now. Also released in UK cinemas this weekend is the horror movie Him, produced by Jordan Peele. The film stars Marlon Wayans and Tyreek Withers and revolves around a young up-and-coming American football player who gets invited to train at the isolated compound of his childhood hero, where the training gets increasingly strange and weird in the usual ooga booga horror movie way. So the film was first released in the US 3 weeks ago. To negative reviews from critics who criticised the film's indecisiveness between, silly horror, like the film knows it's silly type thing, or being a smart social critique about aging athletes. So, the film is apparently very torn between those two things. However, Wayne's performance was praised by critics. Him is in UK cinemas now. This week, the live-action How to Train Your Dragon arrived on home video. The film is a live-action adaptation of both the Crusader Cowell novel. Well, it's more of a loose adaptation, but it's more of a direct adaptation of the 2010 animated adaptation of the novel. So the film stars Mason Thames as Hiccup, the son of a tough Viking village chief and then Hiccup challenges his village's views on hunting dragons when he befriends Toothless, a dragon of a rare breed, who also seems to be not like the rest of his kind. The film also stars Gerard Butler, reprising his role as Stoic from the animated films. So this was my first time watching the film. I've not read the book, and I've not seen the original film. the original animated film, but I really quite liked the live action film. I thought that it did start out a bit slow and rocky, but it gradually got better over the course of the film. And I really liked the scenes of Hiccup and Toothless bonding, and I thought that Gerard Butler was at his best because you can see how much fun he's having with the role. And also Mason Thames giving a pretty good performance, because he first shot to prominence with the horror film The Black Phone, which I like, and he gave a good performance in that, but he was just sort of third best. He was just sort of like, they gave the third best performance in The Black Phone, whereas in this he was also giving another good performance, but Gerard Butler outshining him. I gave the film 3.5 stars out of 5. A sequel is in development for a 2027 release. How to Train Your Dragon is on home video now. Also released on home video this week was the science fiction action film Megan 2.0, sequel to the horror film Megan, stylized as M3 Gun. The film stars Alison Williams and Violet McGraw reprising their roles from the previous film, joined by Ivana Sakno and Jermaine Clement. The film moves away from the horror genre of the first film, because the first film was very much a horror genre about, murderous AI robot, and this sequel becomes a sci-fi action film, sort of like Terminator, and revolves around Megan being rebuilt so it can combat a rogue humanoid military robot inspired by Megan, who is plotting an AI takeover. So this was my first time watching the film, and I genuinely came in with an open mind about it, because I knew about the mass rejection of the new direction of the character, that it tanked at the box office, a lot of the with the producer saying that they miscalculated how they thought they could put Megan in they can release a Megan film in the summer and completely change up the tone and it would be fine, people would follow them, and then they didn't. So I knew about all that, but I still had an open mind, and I liked it about as much as the first. Yes, a lot of the dialogue is very badly written, and it's very cringy to listen to, but it's actually just an enjoyable kind of silly that worked quite well, and felt like a natural evolution in the story. One of the criticisms I had with the first film, if you might remember, that was 2 years ago. I haven't actually seen Megan since, so one of the criticisms I had with the first film is it felt like every story beat could have just, every major story thing could have been avoided if they had just watched a movie, or watched Westworld or Avengers Age of Ultron or Terminator, something like that. And in this film there is some a sort of similar thing, because the rogue AI robot that they're up against in this film was built by the US government, because the US government. But yeah, I just really liked how silly it was, and it just felt like the natural evolution to go with after the horror movie aspect of the first film. So I actually feel like this was kind of generous of me to give it 3.5 stars out of 5. Because I might have liked Ballerina better, but I only gave that 3 stars because the script was all over the place on that. But I'm very inconsistent with my ratings this year. I gave Ballerina 3 stars, which I liked more than Megan 2, which I gave 3.5 stars. So I might have to go back and revisit Ballerina. That's just an excuse for me, so just to rewatch it. That's all I have for this week, but I'll be sure to check back next week where I'll be previewing Tron Ares, I'm actually really looking forward to Tron Ares, because last month, I watched the original Tron for the first time. Didn't like it. And I watched Tron Legacy for the first time, which I liked. I liked Tron Legacy, but I didn't like the original Tron. I'm digressing. I'm also previewing I Swear. I don't know if I know very much about it, but I think it's a biopic about someone with Tourette's. Do not quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just pulling that off the top of my head. So see you next time.